The grand chamber of the Galactic Council glittered with light that bounced off polished surfaces. Thousands of delegates from hundreds of worlds sat in rising tiers that circled the central speaking floor. Today marked 50 years since humanity had joined as associate members, and Earth's representative, Admiral Elena Reeves, stood tall in her formal Navy uniform. Elena had expected today would finally bring full membership for humanity. Earth and its colonies had contributed remarkable advancements in medicine, art, and sustainable energy. Human diplomats had helped resolve 3 major conflicts between alien civilizations. Yet as she listened to Counselor Thrix speak, her hopes faded quickly. "While we acknowledge humanity's contributions," Thrix said, his blue-scaled skin gleaming under the lights, "the Council has decided that Earth must remain an associate member for at least another 20 cycles." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Elena's face remained calm, but her hands tightened into fists at her sides. "Humanity still displays primitive tendencies," Thrix continued. "Your species is unpredictable. Your history of violence against yourselves raises concerns about your readiness for the responsibilities of full membership." Elena noticed several council members nodding in agreement. After 50 years of proving themselves after all humanity had contributed, they were still being judged by their past. "Furthermore," Thrix added with a dismissive wave of his long fingers, "new restrictions will be placed on human expansion and research activities. The recent advancements in your propulsion technologies have progressed too rapidly for comfort." That was the final insult. The Council wasn't just denying humanity equality. They were actively holding Earth back, limiting human potential. Elena had received strict instructions from Earth's leadership to remain diplomatic no matter what happened today. But in that moment, something shifted inside her. "The Council recognizes Admiral Reeves for Earth's response," announced the moderator. Elena walked to the central podium, feeling the weight of billions of human lives on her shoulders. For a moment, she considered following her original speech, expressing disappointment but reaffirming humanity's commitment to earning full membership. Instead, she looked directly at Thrix and spoke clearly into the microphone. "For centuries, humans fought each other. We divided ourselves by borders, beliefs, and backgrounds. Now we stand united." Her voice remained steady, but a coldness crept into it. "Test our patience at your peril." The chamber fell completely silent. "Humanity hereby withdraws its application for full council membership, effective immediately." Gasps echoed through the hall. No species had ever voluntarily withdrawn from consideration. It simply wasn't done. "Admiral Reeves," Thrix sputtered, "this is highly irregular. Perhaps you should consult with your government before making such a declaration." "My government gave me full authority to represent Earth's interests," Elena replied. "I am doing so now. We will, of course, honor our existing treaties and trade agreements, but humanity will no longer seek what you are unwilling to give." Without waiting for a response, Elena turned and walked toward the exit. Behind her, the council erupted in confused debate. She noticed a few delegates looking at her with newfound respect, while others appeared relieved. Most concerning was Thrix's expression, not anger or shock, but a smug smile that disappeared quickly when he noticed her watching. On her ship returning to Earth, Elena sent an encrypted message consisting of just 3 words: "Activate Protocol Exodus." 20 hours later, she stood in an underground facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. A large circular table dominated the room, surrounded by the highest-ranking officials of Earth's unified government. Screens on the walls showed the leaders of major off-world colonies. Director Marcus Blackwood, head of Earth's Defense Intelligence, stood at the main screen. His weathered face looked grim as he addressed the group. "Protocol Exodus has been in development for 28 years, he explained. "It began when our first diplomats returned from Council space with concerns about the Council's true intentions toward Earth." He tapped a command, and the screen filled with classified reports. "We've suspected for decades that the Council never intended to grant us full membership. They've done this before to other species, keeping them as second-class citizens while extracting their resources and innovations." "How certain are we of this?" asked President Aisha Okafor. Her eyes narrowed. "Certain enough that we created Protocol Exodus," Blackwood replied. "We have recordings of private council sessions discussing how to keep humanity productive but controlled. They fear our adaptability and see us as potential rivals if allowed to develop freely." Admiral Reeves stepped forward. What I saw today confirms everything. They're now actively restricting our development. The next step will be direct interference in our affairs. President Okafor looked around the table. All those in favor of implementing Protocol Exodus, raise your hand. One by one, hands went up until the vote was unanimous. Then it's decided, the president said quietly. How long will preparations take? We've been ready for years, Blackwood answered. We can begin immediately and complete the major phases within 3 years. What about our people? Asked the governor of Mars Colony through the video link. There are nearly 2 billion humans spread across the solar system. Everyone comes with us, Elena said firmly. No one gets left behind. The first stage of Protocol Exodus began that very night. In laboratories across Earth and its colonies, scientists who had been working on classified projects for years suddenly received new urgency and unlimited resources. Massive factories that had been built in secret on the far side of the moon increased production. Deep within the asteroid belt, enormous construction ships that officially didn't exist started building something enormous. 2 weeks after Elena's dramatic exit from the council, an alien diplomat named Vexlor requested a secret meeting. Elena met him in a secure location on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. What I'm about to tell you violates every oath I've taken, Vexlor said, his translucent skin pulsing with nervous energy. But I believe the council is making a terrible mistake. What do you know? Elena asked. The restriction of your research wasn't Thrix's idea. It came from much higher up, Vexlor explained. There are those in the council who have been watching humanity with growing concern. Not because they fear you'll become violent, but because they fear you'll become too powerful. They're right to be concerned, Elena said coldly. Vexlor's large eyes widened. You don't understand. There are plans to eventually place Earth under direct council control. They've done it before to species they couldn't manipulate in other ways. Elena didn't show her shock. Thank you for the warning. We'll take appropriate measures. After Vexlor left, Elena contacted Earth immediately. Protocol Exodus would need to accelerate. Over the next few months, Council observers noticed some changes in human behavior. Trade with Council worlds decreased slightly. Human ships traveled less frequently beyond their solar system. But overall, little seemed to have changed, and the Council's attention drifted to other matters. They didn't notice the massive energy readings coming from beyond Neptune, carefully masked by new technology. They paid no attention to the subtle movements of people from outer colonies to Earth and Mars. And they completely missed the significance when Dr. Amara Wilson, a physicist whose work had been restricted by the Council's new rules, suddenly stopped publishing research papers altogether. 6 months after humanity walked away from the Galactic Council, the pieces of Protocol Exodus were falling into place. And on Earth, billions of people went about their daily lives, unaware that in 3 years' time, their world would do something no planet had ever done before. In his private chambers, Counselor Thrix reviewed reports about human activity and smiled to himself. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Soon humanity would understand their proper place in the galactic order. He had no idea that when humanity walked away from the Council that day, they had already sealed the Council's fate. 6 months had passed since Admiral Reeves walked out of the Galactic Council chamber. In that time, Earth and its colonies had been busy, though they took great care to hide their true activities. In a secret laboratory beneath the Martian surface, Dr. Amara Wilson stared at the holographic display floating above her workstation. The equations glowed blue in the dim light, describing something that should be impossible, yet the test results didn't lie. Run the simulation again, she told her assistant, a young physicist named David. The computer processed the command, and the hologram shifted to show a small probe disappearing from one point in space and instantly reappearing light years away. It's stable, David whispered in awe. The field maintains integrity through the entire jump. Amara nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the blue light. Send word to General Rivera. Tell him Project Doorway is ready for full-scale testing. On the other side of Mars, General Thomas Rivera watched as his fleet conducted what appeared to be standard training exercises. To any observer, it looked like routine maneuvers. In reality, each ship was being secretly upgraded with new technologies that were expressly forbidden by Council restrictions. His communication device chimed softly. The message from Dr. Wilson's team was brief but thrilling. Doorway is open. Rivera immediately contacted Earth's Unified Command. Phase 2 is ready. We can begin fleet preparations. In his office on Earth, Director Blackwood received Rivera's message with grim satisfaction. He looked out the window at the busy streets of New Geneva, where people went about their daily lives unaware of what was coming. His assistant entered with a worried expression. "Sir, we've detected unusual activity at the edge of our system. A Council observation ship has been scanning our outer colonies." Blackwood frowned. "Have they noticed anything?" "Not yet, sir. Our cloaking measures are holding, but they're being more thorough than usual. Increase power to the distortion fields. Nothing can be detected until we're ready." In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, a different conversation was taking place. Councillor Drav, a tall being with iridescent skin, presented evidence to a small committee. "These energy readings from Earth's orbital facilities don't match their reported activities," Drav explained, pointing to the data, "and several of their outer colonies have reduced their communication significantly in recent months." Thrix waved a dismissive hand. "Humans are emotional beings. They're obviously still upset about their membership application. This is merely them sulking." "I disagree," Drav insisted. "Something is happening in the human territories. We should investigate more thoroughly." "Very well," Thrix conceded reluctantly. "You may send one additional observation vessel, but don't interfere with them directly. We don't want to provoke an incident." What neither of them knew was that a third party was listening to their conversation. Ambassador Vexilor had positioned himself near the chamber's air circulation system, where the acoustics allowed him to overhear everything. As soon as the meeting ended, he hurried to his private quarters and activated a secure communication device that Dr. Wilson had given him. 2 days later, Vexilor met General Rivera in an abandoned mining facility on a small asteroid. The location had been swept for surveillance devices 3 times before their arrival. "The Council is growing suspicious," Vexilor said without preamble. "They're sending another observation ship to your outer colonies." Rivera nodded, unsurprised. "We expected this. Thank you for the warning." "There's more," Vexilor continued, his translucent skin pulsing with anxiety. "I've accessed restricted Council archives. I found records of other species who were kept as associate members for centuries, their development carefully controlled. Species who eventually became little more than servants to the Council. And is that what they planned for humanity?" "Worse," Vexilor said quietly. "There are military plans being developed. If humanity becomes too independent or develops forbidden technologies, they plan to place your entire species under protective oversight." Rivera's face hardened. "Invasion and occupation, in other words." "Yes, it may not happen soon, but it is their contingency plan." "Why are you helping us?" Rivera asked, studying the alien's face. "You're risking everything." Vexilor was silent for a moment. "My own world was once like yours. New to the galactic community, full of potential. The Council guided our development away from certain technologies, always for our protection. Now we depend on other species for everything from advanced medicine to space travel. We've lost our self-determination. I don't want to see that happen to humanity." After Vexilor departed, Rivera contacted Earth immediately. The timeline for protocol exodus would need to be accelerated again. Across the solar system, human activity shifted. Colony outposts that had been established beyond Neptune began to go dark, their populations relocated in secret. Massive ships that didn't appear on any official registry moved between the outer planets, gathering resources and personnel. On Titan, Saturn's largest moon, Governor Alexei Petrov addressed the colony's population of 3 million people. The meeting was held in a shielded chamber that blocked all external communications. "Within 6 months, every person on this moon will be relocated," he announced to the shocked crowd. "Only volunteers will remain to maintain the appearance of normal operations. You'll be told where we're going when the time comes." On Earth, similar preparations were happening in absolute secrecy. Deep underground facilities that had been built decades ago during the Old Nations conflicts were repurposed and expanded. Special teams identified crucial cultural artifacts, scientific knowledge, and biological samples to be preserved. Dr. Wilson's team worked day and night, installing their revolutionary technology on key installations around Earth and throughout the solar system. Each device was carefully shielded to prevent detection by Council sensors. 8 months after Admiral Reeves had walked away from the Council, Nearly 30% of humanity's off-world population had been secretly relocated. Industrial production had shifted to support protocol exodus, with automated systems left behind to maintain the appearance of normal operations. The Council's observation ships noted some anomalies but found nothing conclusive. Their reports mentioned reduced communication from some human outposts and unusual energy patterns, but nothing that suggested the massive operation underway. In the Council chamber, Drav once again raised concerns. The humans are hiding something. Their official reports don't match our observations. What exactly do you think they're doing? Thrix asked with a hint of mockery. I don't know, Drav admitted, but something significant is happening in their system, and they're going to great lengths to conceal it. Thrix sighed dramatically. Very well. I'll authorize a direct diplomatic inquiry. The next day, an official message was sent to Earth's government, requesting information about the reduced activity in their outer colonies. The response came quickly and seemed perfectly reasonable. Earth was consolidating some of its smaller outposts for efficiency and had decreased deep space exploration temporarily while reviewing their expansion policies. The Council accepted this explanation, though Drav remained unconvinced. We should send a delegation to Earth, he suggested. See the situation firsthand. That would be seen as an insult after they withdrew their membership application, another Council member objected. Let's give them time. Time was exactly what humanity needed. In the darkness between planets, massive structures were taking shape. Enormous vessels, each capable of carrying millions of people, were being constructed using technology that officially didn't exist. 1 year after humanity's withdrawal from Council membership consideration, Dr. Wilson stood with General Rivera in a secret facility orbiting Jupiter. Through the viewport, they watched as a small experimental ship prepared for its test flight. If this works, Wilson said, we can begin the final phase. The ship activated its engines, creating a strange distortion in the space around it. For a brief moment, it seemed to exist in 2 places at once. Then it vanished completely. 10 seconds later, a confirmation signal arrived from beyond the solar system. The ship had successfully jumped to its target destination over 50 light-years away in an instant. It works, Wilson whispered, her eyes wide with wonder and relief. We can go, Rivera nodded solemnly. Begin installation on the evacuation ships immediately. And inform Blackwood. It's time to activate the final protocols. As Earth continued to spin, seemingly unchanged, humanity prepared for the most audacious escape in history. The Council remained oblivious, believing they had all the time in the universe to bring the troublesome humans under control. They were wrong. When humanity walked away from the Galactic Council, the countdown to the Council's downfall had already begun. 1 year and 2 months after Admiral Reeves walked out of the Galactic Council, a small fleet of Council investigation ships entered the Sol system. Their mission: determine exactly what humanity was doing. High Marshal Zrath, a veteran of 3 galactic conflicts, led the expedition personally. His battle-scarred face showed no emotion as his flagship approached the outer reaches of human territory. No response to our communication attempts, reported his second-in-command. The Neptune outposts should have acknowledged us by now. Zrath's eyes narrowed. Proceed to the outposts, full sensor sweep. What they found at Neptune shocked them. The human colonies, research stations, mining operations, and habitation domes that should have housed over 50,000 people, were completely empty. Automated systems maintained life support and basic functions, but not a single human remained. This makes no sense, Zrath muttered. Where could they have gone? The investigation fleet continued inward, finding the same situation at Uranus and Saturn. The massive colony on Titan, once home to 3 million humans, now contained only a skeleton crew of a few hundred people who claimed to be performing maintenance operations. When questioned about the missing population, the humans gave vague answers about temporary relocations and centralization initiatives. Zrath wasn't fooled. He ordered an immediate report to the Council and continued toward the inner planets. Meanwhile, on Earth, Director Blackwood received regular updates on the Council fleet's progress. They've reached Saturn, his aide reported. They'll be at Mars within 3 days. Blackwood nodded calmly. And the final evacuations? On schedule. The last transport ships leave tomorrow. After that, only volunteers will remain. And Project Mirage? Fully operational. The holograms and automated systems are indistinguishable from a normal population. The Council had be able to tell the difference without a ground inspection. Blackwood looked out his window at the seemingly busy city. What appeared to be thousands of people moving through streets were actually sophisticated projections. The real population had already been moved to underground facilities ready for the final phase of protocol exodus. In orbit around Mars, Captain Elijah Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Defiance. At 43, Elijah was one of humanity's most decorated space commanders. His current mission was perhaps the most important of his career. Status: Report, he ordered as his ship approached the Martian moon Phobos. Council vessels have passed Jupiter, Captain, his tactical officer reported. Estimated arrival at Mars in 64 hours. That gives us enough time. Proceed with the operation. The Defiance deployed a specialized mining craft that descended toward Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. While the Council fleet focused on the inner planets, Elijah's team was retrieving something crucial. Science Officer Lyra Bennett supervised the operation from the mining craft. Beneath Europa's thick ice lay something humanity had discovered 20 years ago and kept secret from the Council, an ancient alien artifact of immense power. Begin extraction, Lyra ordered as the drilling equipment pierced the final layer of ice. Back on Earth, Admiral Reeves addressed the leaders of Earth's unified government. Most attended via hologram, having already relocated to the evacuation ships. The Council fleet will reach Earth within 2 weeks, she explained. By then, we must be ready for the final phase. What about the volunteer crews we're leaving behind? Asked one of the leaders. They'll maintain the illusion that Earth is still fully populated, Reeves explained. Once the Council becomes suspicious, they have escape vessels hidden throughout the system. They'll join us later. And if they're captured? Reeves's face hardened. They know nothing about our destination, but we don't intend to abandon them. Around the sun, Dr. Wilson's team had positioned hundreds of specialized devices, each the size of a small building. These devices, powered by technology the Council had forbidden humans to develop, formed a massive array that would soon activate. On Mars, Governor Paulo Machado supervised the last evacuation transports. The Red Planet had been home to over 5 million colonists. Now, only a few thousand volunteers remained to maintain the appearance of normal operations. The final transport is away, his assistant reported. All colonists accounted for. Activate the holographic population, Machado ordered, and may luck be with us all. When the Council investigation fleet reached Mars, they found cities that appeared bustling and busy. Sensors detected what seemed to be millions of human life signs. Video communications showed smiling colonists going about their daily lives, but High Marshal Zarath wasn't satisfied. Something isn't right, he told his officers. The energy usage patterns don't match the population readings. He ordered a landing party to conduct a physical inspection of the main Martian city. What they found confirmed his suspicions. The humans they encountered were real, but far fewer in number than sensors indicated. The rest were incredibly sophisticated holograms. Zarath immediately sent an urgent message to the Galactic Council. Humanity is executing a massive evacuation of unknown purpose. Request immediate containment fleet. In the council chambers, the news caused panic. Where could billions of humans be going? Demanded Councillor Thrix. Our sensors would have detected any large-scale space travel beyond their system. Unless they have technology we don't know about, Drav suggested quietly. Thrix slammed his fist on the table. Impossible. We've monitored their development carefully. They couldn't have hidden such advancements. But they had. For decades, Earth had maintained 2 scientific communities, one that published its findings openly and adhered to council restrictions, and another that worked in absolute secrecy on forbidden technologies. As the council debated, Captain Okonkwo's team completed their mission at Europa. The ancient artifact, a crystalline structure the size of a small car, was safely aboard the Defiance. The ship immediately jumped away, using Dr. Wilson's technology to instantly travel beyond the reach of council sensors. On Earth, preparations for the final phase of Protocol Exodus were complete. 95% of the planet's population had been evacuated to massive ships hiding in the darkness between stars. Only volunteer crews remained, maintaining the illusion of a fully populated planet using the most advanced holographic technology ever created. When the Council investigation fleet finally reached Earth, High Marshal Zrath was taken aback by what they found. Cities teemed with apparent life, industries functioned, communications networks buzzed with activity. "Land immediately," he ordered. "I want boots on the ground in every major city." But before his orders could be carried out, a Council battle fleet arrived. Over 300 warships that took up positions around Earth. "The Council has ordered full containment of the human system," announced Fleet Admiral Jorax. "No ships in or out without inspection." Zrath's forces began their ground inspections and quickly discovered the truth. Like Mars, Earth's apparent population was mostly holographic. The real humans they found refused to answer questions about where their people had gone. In orbit, the Council battle fleet deployed a sensor net around the entire system, designed to detect any ship attempting to leave. They were too late. 3 days after the Council fleet arrived, Dr. Wilson activated her array around the sun. The devices hummed to life, creating a quantum field that spread throughout the solar system. On the Council flagship, alarms blared as sensors detected a massive energy surge unlike anything they had ever recorded. "What is happening?" demanded Fleet Admiral Jorax. His science officer stared at the readings in disbelief. "It's some kind of dimensional shift. The energy signature is off the charts." "Target those devices," Jorax ordered. "Destroy them immediately." But the Council ship's weapons passed harmlessly through the devices, which now existed partially in another dimension. On Earth, the remaining humans watched with a mixture of awe and sadness as the quantum field reached their planet. This was the most audacious part of Protocol Exodus, something never before attempted on such a scale. The field encompassed Earth and its moon completely. For a moment, the planet seemed to shimmer, as if seen through heat waves. Then, to the horror of the watching Council fleet, Earth and its moon simply vanished. One moment they were there, the center of human civilization for thousands of years. The next they were gone, shifted into another dimensional plane where the Council could never reach them. In the Council flagship, stunned silence fell over the bridge. High Marshal Zrath stared at the empty space where Earth had been just moments before. "Impossible," he whispered. But it had happened. Humanity had done the unthinkable. Rather than submit to the Council's control, they had removed their homeworld from the universe itself, and somewhere in the vast darkness between galaxies, the evacuated population of humanity watched through long-range sensors as their ancestral home disappeared from normal space-time. Phase 3 of Protocol Exodus was complete. The final phase would soon begin, and the Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. The disappearance of Earth and its moon sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. Emergency sessions were called. Accusations flew. Fear spread among the member species. "This is unprecedented," shouted a representative from the Felvorian collective, their multiple eyes blinking rapidly in distress. "An entire planet. Gone." Grand Counselor Zandrath called for order. As the supreme leader of the Council for over 2 centuries, Zandrath rarely attended regular sessions, but the current crisis demanded his presence. "We must remain calm," he said, his deep voice echoing through the chamber. "Our scientists are analyzing the event. We will find a way to locate Earth and bring the humans back under control." "Under control?" Counselor Drav questioned. "Perhaps that attitude is what drove them to such desperate measures in the first place." The chamber fell silent. No one questioned the Grand Counselor's statements. Zandrath's eyes narrowed. "Counselor Drav, you are dismissed from this session. Please exit the chamber." After Drav left, Zandrath activated a security field that would prevent anyone outside the chamber from hearing what was said next. "What I'm about to share is known only to the inner circle," he began. "Humanity was never meant to be a full member of this council." Murmurs spread through the room. For thousands of years, this council has maintained galactic peace by carefully controlling the development of younger species. Some species serve specialized roles, the Vulcan for their mathematical abilities, the Drell for their technological innovations. He paused, letting his words sink in. Humanity was being cultivated for a specific purpose: their unusual capacity for warfare, their adaptability in combat situations, their ability to thrive in almost any environment. These traits made them ideal as a warrior race. We intended to use them to fight our more dangerous enemies. You mean as soldiers? Asked a shocked representative. Without their knowledge or consent? For the greater good, Zandrath replied smoothly. Many species serve the Council without full understanding of their role. It maintains order. In the silence that followed, a message arrived from High Marshal Zrath, still in the Sol system investigating Earth's disappearance. We found something, Zrath reported. A recording left behind by the humans. It's being broadcast on all frequencies. The Council chamber's main screen activated, showing Admiral Elena Reeves in her formal uniform. To the Galactic Council, she began, her voice steady. By now you've witnessed what we've done. Earth and Luna have been removed from your reach, shifted into a dimensional plane you cannot access. Humanity has not been destroyed. We have relocated, taking our home with us rather than allowing it to fall under your control. She leaned forward slightly. We know the truth. We know what you intended for us. Your careful monitoring of our development, your restrictions on our research. It was never about safety. It was about keeping us useful but contained. You've done this before to other species. We refuse to be your next victims. Zandrath's face darkened with rage as Reeves continued. You believed yourselves masters of manipulation, but you underestimated us. While you watched our public research, we developed technologies in secret. While you monitored our official colonies, we built hidden outposts. We've been preparing for this day for decades. The message ended with a final warning. Do not attempt to follow us. You would not survive the encounter. As the screen went dark, chaos erupted in the council chamber. The truth that Zandrath had tried to hide was now exposed to all. Far from council space, beyond the reach of their most powerful sensors, humanity had established a new home. Not on a planet, but on an artificial world of their own creation. A massive structure built in secret over decades. Commander Sophia Reyes stood at the central observation deck of this new home, named Haven. Below her stretched an enormous open cylinder, 20 kilometers in diameter and over 100 kilometers long. The interior surface was already covered with growing forests, lakes, and the beginnings of cities. Artificial gravity and a central light source created the perfect conditions for human life. Status report, she requested. Earth and Luna have successfully transitioned to the shelter dimension, her aide responded. The dimensional anchors are stable. We can retrieve them whenever necessary. Sophia nodded with satisfaction. The most daring part of Protocol Exodus had worked perfectly. Earth wasn't gone. It was hidden, preserved in a dimensional pocket where the Council couldn't reach it. And our other preparations? On schedule. The fleet is almost ready. In another section of Haven, Dr. Victor Nazari carefully examined the artifact retrieved from Europa. As Earth's leading xenoarchaeologist, Victor had spent his career studying the remnants of ancient civilizations. This particular artifact had been his most important discovery. It's responding to the new environment, he told Director Blackwood, who stood watching. The patterns are changing. The crystalline structure glowed with an inner light pulsing in complex sequences. Can you understand what it's communicating? Blackwood asked. Victor nodded slowly. I believe so. It's searching for others like itself. And, he paused, his eyes widening. I think it's found them. The artifact's glow intensified, projecting a holographic map of the galaxy. Several points of light appeared far from any council world. These must be the locations of other artifacts, Victor whispered, and possibly the beings who created them. Blackwood studied the map intently. The ancient ones. 20 years earlier, Victor had discovered references to these mysterious beings in ruins scattered across several worlds. According to the fragments he had pieced together, the Ancient Ones had been a powerful civilization that disappeared thousands of years ago, around the same time the Galactic Council first formed. The Council had dismissed his findings as myth. Now it seemed they might still exist. If we could contact them, Victor began. They might be powerful allies. Blackwood finished. or at least give us insights into the Council's true nature. He tapped his communication device. Prepare a scout ship. We're going to investigate these coordinates. Back in Council space, the search for humanity continued without success. Their technology for hiding their massive evacuation ships had worked perfectly. Not a trace could be found of the billions of humans who had vanished along with their planet. In a private chamber, Grand Counselor Zandrath met with his most trusted advisors. How could they have developed such technology without our knowledge? Demanded one advisor, pounding his fist on the table. They deceived us, Zandrath admitted. While we monitored their official research channels, they conducted their real work in secret. What do we do now? Asked another. Without Earth as leverage, we cannot control them. Zandrath's expression was grim. We must find where they've gone and neutralize them completely. They know too much about our methods now. If other species learn how we've manipulated their development, he didn't need to finish the thought. The entire system by which the Council had maintained control for thousands of years would collapse. Dispatch scout ships to every sector, he ordered. Find any trace of human activity, and prepare the war fleet. When we locate them, we will strike immediately and decisively. What Zandrath didn't know was that one of his advisors was secretly sympathetic to humanity. As soon as the meeting ended, this advisor sent an encrypted warning through channels established by Ambassador Vexilor. 3 months after Earth's disappearance, humanity had settled into life on Haven. The artificial world could support the entire human population comfortably, with room for centuries of growth. Advanced hydroponics and synthesized food ensured plenty for all. Energy came from artificial singularities, providing virtually limitless power, but they hadn't forgotten their homeworld. Regular expeditions used Dr. Wilson's technology to briefly enter the shelter dimension and check on Earth. The planet was thriving without human presence, its ecosystems beginning to recover from centuries of damage. In her office aboard Haven, President Diana Washington reviewed the latest updates from the scout ships investigating the Ancient One's coordinates. They've made contact, she said, with quiet awe. Looking up at Admiral Reeves and General Rivera, the Ancient Ones still exist. What are they like? Elena asked. Not what we expected, Diana replied, passing them the report. They're not a warrior race. They're scholars, scientists. They've been hiding from the Council for millennia, building their own civilization away from Council influence. Will they help us? Thomas asked. They're considering it. They have their own grievances with the Council. Apparently, they were one of the first species the Council attempted to control. Rather than submit, they faked their own extinction and escaped to the Galactic Rim, just like we did, Elena said softly. Yes, but on a smaller scale. They never developed the technology to take their homeworld with them. General Rivera studied the images of the Ancient Ones. Tall, slender beings with luminescent skin and 4 arms. Their ships look incredibly advanced. They've had thousands of years to develop without Council restrictions, Diana noted. Their technology is far beyond anything the Council possesses, and now we have access to it, Elena said, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. The Council's worst fear has come true. We've not only escaped their control, but we've also found allies they thought were long gone. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent message. The warning from Zandrath's advisor had arrived. The Council is mobilizing their war fleet, Diana announced grimly. They intend to find and destroy us. Let them try, Thomas said. With Dr. Wilson's dimensional technology, they'll never locate us unless we want to be found. And when we do reveal ourselves, Elena added, it won't be as refugees or victims. It will be as liberators. Diana nodded slowly. Prepare the final phase of Protocol Exodus. It's time to show the Council exactly what humanity is capable of. As the Council war fleet assembled, its commanders believed they were preparing to hunt down and eliminate a dangerous rogue species. They had no idea that humanity was preparing to change the galactic order forever, with the help of allies the Council had, thought long extinct. The day humanity walked away from the Council had set events in motion that would soon reach their climax. And when they did, nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. 3 years had passed since Earth vanished. The Galactic Council's search for humanity had yielded nothing. Their war fleet patrolled the borders of Council space, vigilant for any sign of human activity. Rumors spread throughout the galaxy about the species that had taken their planet and disappeared rather than submit to Council authority. On Haven, humanity had thrived. The artificial world now bustled with cities, farms, and wilderness preserves. Children played in parks beneath an artificial sky so convincing that many forgot they weren't on Earth. But they hadn't been idle. For 3 years they had prepared, built, and planned. The alliance with the Ancient Ones had provided them with technological insights that accelerated their development by centuries. In the main command center of Haven, President Diana Washington stood with Admiral Reeves, General Rivera, and representatives from the Ancient Ones. On the massive central display, hundreds of ships appeared as glowing points of light, the combined fleet of humanity and their new allies. All ships report ready. Madam President, General Rivera announced. Diana nodded solemnly. Then it's time. She activated the communication system that would broadcast to every ship in the fleet. Today we return to Council space, she begged. And not as supplicants or refugees, but as liberators. For thousands of years, the Council has manipulated younger species, controlling their development, using them for the Council's own purposes. Today, that ends. She looked around at the determined faces of her fellow humans and their Ancient One allies. Our goal is not revenge. We do not seek to destroy the Council, but to transform it. Every species deserves the right to determine its own destiny. Together with our allies, we will create a new galactic community based on equality and mutual respect. The speech concluded. Final preparations were made. Dr. Wilson's dimensional jump technology had been installed in every ship of the fleet. They could appear anywhere in the galaxy in an instant, bypassing the Council's defensive perimeter completely. Admiral Reeves took command of the flagship, a massive vessel named Defiance after Captain Okonkwo's ship, which had retrieved the crucial artifact from Europa 3 years earlier. Set coordinates for the Galactic Council headquarters, she ordered. All ships prepare for dimensional jump. Throughout the fleet, humans and Ancient Ones worked side by side. The once mysterious beings had become valued allies and friends. Their own history with the Council had made them eager partners in humanity's plan to reshape galactic civilization. At the edge of Council space, a patrol fleet detected a sudden energy surge. Before they could report it, hundreds of ships appeared from nowhere, materializing from another dimension without warning. Unidentified fleet. The Council commander transmitted. You are entering restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately. The response came in the form of a tight beam transmission that disabled the patrol fleet's weapon systems without harming the ships or crews. Stand down, came Admiral Reeves's calm voice. We have no desire to harm you. News of the fleet's arrival spread quickly through Council communication channels. The war fleet changed course, rushing to intercept the intruders. But they were too slow. Using their dimensional jump technology, the human Ancient One fleet appeared directly above the Council capital world. Hundreds of powerful ships hovering in perfect formation. In the Council chamber, panic erupted as the ships appeared on their monitors. How did they get past our defenses? Sandrath demanded. Before anyone could answer, every communication screen in the chamber activated, showing Admiral Reeves in the uniform of Earth's United Forces. Galactic Council, she began. 3 years ago, I walked out of your chamber after you denied humanity full membership. Today I return not to ask for what you would not give, but to offer something new to all species under your control. She paused, letting her words sink in. We know the truth about how you've manipulated developing species. We know how you've controlled technologies, guided development, and kept many races as second-class citizens for your own benefit. Zandrath's face darkened with rage. Cut this transmission, he ordered, but the Council's systems no longer responded to his commands. You wonder how we've done this, Elena continued, seemingly aware of Zandrath's futile efforts. The answer is simple. We had help. The camera panned to show one of the Ancient Ones standing beside her. Gasps echoed through the Council chamber. The Ancient Ones were supposed to be extinct, eliminated thousands of years ago when they refused to accept the Council's guidance. What you're witnessing is the beginning of change, Elena said. Not destruction, but transformation. We have disabled your warfleet's weapon systems. Your planetary defenses are offline. We could destroy the Council completely if we wished. Fear showed clearly on the faces of the Council members. But that is not our way, Elena continued. her voice softening slightly. Instead, we offer a choice. Join us in creating a new galactic alliance, one where all species have equal rights and the freedom to develop without manipulation. Or continue to cling to your old ways, isolated and alone as the rest of the galaxy moves forward without you. Throughout Council space, this message was being broadcast to every world, every species. On planets where the Council had limited technological development, people looked up in wonder as the message appeared on any device capable of displaying it. On the Vulcan homeworld, mathematicians who had been kept from developing certain branches of physics watched with growing excitement. On Drell, engineers whose innovations had been carefully controlled for centuries began speaking openly about ideas they had hidden for years, and on dozens of other worlds, species that had been kept as associate members of the Council saw a new possibility for their future. In orbit around the Council capital, General Rivera led a precision strike team to the Central Defense Grid, a massive space station that controlled the Council's military forces. Using technology from the Ancient Ones, they disabled the entire system without firing a single shot or causing any casualties. Defense grid neutralized, Rivera reported to Admiral Reeves. All Council military assets are now in standby mode. Elena nodded with satisfaction. This had been one of the most important parts of their plan, to demonstrate power while avoiding bloodshed. Humanity had not come as conquerors but as liberators. On the Council capital world, millions of citizens watched the sky, where the combined fleet hung like stars visible even in daylight. For many, this was the first time they had ever questioned the Council's authority. In the Council chamber, Zandrath made a desperate attempt to regain control. "Activate the emergency protocols," he shouted. "Launch the reserve fleet." But nothing happened. The Ancient Ones had helped humanity identify and neutralize every backup system and hidden weapon the Council possessed. "This is illegal," Zandrath spluttered. "An attack on the legitimate government of the galaxy." "Legitimate?" questioned Councillor Drav, who had returned to the chamber during the chaos. "A government that manipulates and controls its members is no legitimate authority." Other Council members began to speak up, many admitting they had harbored doubts about the Council's methods for years but had been afraid to voice them. Seeing his support crumbling, Zandrath made one last desperate move. He activated a hidden device on his person, a small but powerful weapon capable of destroying the entire Council building. "If I cannot rule," he growled, "then none shall." But before he could activate the weapon, a beam of light from one of the Ancient Ones' ships enveloped him. The weapon dissolved harmlessly, and Zandrath found himself unable to move. Throughout Council space, the revolution proceeded with remarkable speed and minimal violence. Species that had been controlled for centuries embraced the opportunity for true independence. Council loyalists found themselves outnumbered and outmaneuvered at every turn. 1 week after the fleet's arrival, Admiral Reeves returned to the Council chamber, the same chamber she had walked out of 3 years earlier. But this time she entered not as a petitioner, but as an equal, accompanied by representatives from the Ancient Ones and dozens of formerly subjugated species. "Today," she announced to the assembled delegates and the billions watching via transmission, "we established the Galactic Alliance, a new form of interstellar cooperation based on mutual respect and true equality." The chamber, once dominated by the oldest and most powerful species, now contained representatives from every known intelligent race. Former Council members sat alongside species that had been kept as associates for centuries. "No longer will any species control the development of another," Elena continued. "No longer will technology be restricted or research directions forbidden. Each world will choose its own path, while we all work together for the common good of all intelligent life." As she spoke, something remarkable happened in orbit around the planet. Using Dr. Wilson's dimensional technology, Earth and its moon phased back into normal spacetime, taking position in a stable orbit around the star that warmed the Council capital world. Gasps of awe spread through the chamber as the image appeared on their screens. Humanity's homeworld returned from its dimensional sanctuary as a symbol of the new era. "Earth returns to the galaxy," Elena said, "not as a world under Council control, but as the founding member of a new alliance. A symbol that even the seemingly impossible can be achieved when we refuse to accept unjust limitations." The formal establishment of the Galactic Alliance took place that same day. The old council was dissolved, its restrictive policies abandoned. In its place arose a new organization, where every species had equal voice and equal rights. President. Washington arrived from Haven to sign the founding charter alongside representatives from hundreds of worlds. The ancient ones, emerging from millennia of hiding, shared their remarkable knowledge freely with all Alliance members. As night fell on the former council capital, humans gathered in a park to look up at their ancestral home, now visible as a blue point of light in the evening sky. Among them stood Admiral Elena Reeves, the woman whose defiant exit from the council chamber had set everything in motion. General Rivera joined her, looking up at the Earth. "It worked," he said simply. "All of it. Protocol Exit has succeeded beyond our wildest hopes." Elena nodded. "Not just for us, but for hundreds of species. The Council never understood what they were dealing with when they tried to control humanity." "What was that?" Thomas asked with a slight smile. "A species that would rather disappear than surrender its freedom," Elena replied. "A species willing to risk everything to forge its own path." In the years that followed, the Galactic Alliance flourished. Freed from the Council's restrictions, dozens of species experienced rapid technological and cultural development. The Ancient Ones established academies on multiple worlds, sharing knowledge that had been hidden for thousands of years. Earth was restored to its former beauty, with humans gradually returning to live alongside the rejuvenated ecosystems. Haven remained as humanity's second home, a testament to what could be achieved through determination and ingenuity. Throughout the galaxy, the story spread of how humanity had changed everything, how a single species had exposed the Council's manipulation and created something better in its place. And on countless worlds, when children looked up at the stars and asked about the history of the galaxy, their parents would tell them the story that had already become legend, of the day humanity walked away, and how the Galactic Council knew their fate had been sealed from that moment on.